Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lasting Love Summit. We are so glad to be your hosts today. My name is Marie Wallace, and this is
Joe Wallace.
Hello, handsome.
Hello, gorgeous.
We're excited to share with you what we have learned about connection, and hopefully some of our tips and tricks that we've learned along the way could actually be helpful for you. And what qualifies us to be your host today? Well, first of all, we've both been in really bad relationships.
That's true.
And we've been in some really good relationships.
This one's really good.
This one's been pretty good.
Yeah.
We've been together for 25 years and
Raised three daughters.
We're pretty happy about all of that. In addition to that, I personally am the CEO of Marie's Gold, and it's all the things I love, like consulting and coaching and teaching. I've been teaching for almost 30 years, and I have a master's degree in that. I also have a coaching license in NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, which is all the best practices. And so we've had a little bit of experience in that. What qualifies you for?
I've been managing people in the software industry for about 30 years. And managing people is all about understanding your weaknesses and your strengths and understanding their weaknesses and their strengths and building a connection and building a team.
Yeah, and you have to have some relationship skills to do that kind of work. So with no further ado, we'll tell you what we're going to cover today. We are going to talk about what it means to feel connected and how do we feel disconnected, how to minimize that disconnection. And of course, we can't leave you without giving you tips on how to be
connected.
So the first topic is what does it mean to feel connected? Thank you. A lot of times people feel connected when they're touching you or they're emotionally connected with you physically and emotionally. You're there for them whenever they need you. And it's usually consistently there for you, because if he was inconsistent about it, I wouldn't feel
that connection, and you would be wondering whether I would be there or not.
Yeah. And wondering is not a connection.
No,
it's not a connection. It's like, will you be there for me? Give me the attention that I need when I need it. Can you listen to me, what I'm saying? And am I a priority to you? I think that's probably the number one way of feeling connected. So
yeah, for Marie and for me, it's really about am I on your list? And sometimes when I'm working or I'm really focused on things, then she drops down that list. So making sure I keep her high on the priority list. And part of that is, daily intentionally thinking, okay, how can I be connected?
Mm-hmm. And that's really what we're going to talk a lot about today, is how to intentionally daily be consistent and find ways to connect with our partner and prioritize them. Because with all the things that are grabbing our attention these days, we can lose priority. And we'll talk about that a little bit more too. Are you accessible? Like when I am feeling anxious or sad or excited and I want to share something with you, are you accessible and available for me? Yes, most of the time. Are you responsive to me? So do you make an effort to comfort me when I might be sad or lonely?
Or just need to be listened to.
Or sometimes we just want the physical touch and connection. Sometimes we really miss that. So that's also an intentional thing. Snuggle in the morning. And then, are you engaged with me? So it doesn't mean like if you care about me, you're not going to be off like looking at TV. I've been in relationships where
were you talking?
So we need that consistency, reliability, and that engagement with each other to feel that connection. So then we move to the next thing, is how do we feel disconnected? And there's probably a lot of ways. Of course, we've already talked about the most one. You can't be there consistently because you have all these other priorities. You have work and you have kids, and these days we have social media and activities and all of these things that we want to do that just take our attention away from us. And then pretty soon we don't have enough time or even resource of energy to even put into the relationship. And it kind of threatens that attachment that we want to feel.
I know for me, when I if we're laying in bed and I feel disconnected, there's this gulf between us, which is much wider than just the space, and it's that emotional gulf. And so that will, in me, will trigger things that of what's going on or what's happening.
Yeah, it triggers this fear, like, where is she, or where is he, what's going on? And we want to know why there is that disconnect. And then if we don't talk about it, which is something that's really important, we come up with all these presumptions of what it is or what it could be, and pretty soon the world's on fire and they don't love us anymore.
That's right.
And we'll never
know, and they're going to leave me tomorrow. And
and we're making light of it, but there really are truly fears about that come up about not having that attachment or that connection, and we miss it and we crave it because we are human beings. We want that, and so the fear does bring up so much, which also means, like, we have to ask for what we want, right? Or, well, that gets into the minimizing but it leads to complaints, defensiveness, arguments.
So if we haven't talked, or we're feeling, or we're disconnected, I tend to end up getting defensive and wondering about whether I'm good enough or not. And so the ability to recognize that and understand that I feel trapped because I really haven't communicated what I want, or I haven't communicated the situation that I'm in and shared that with her, then that really drives some of my disconnection.
Yeah, if we find ourselves feeling defensive or arguing a lot, we know it's because we haven't talked for a while, and we haven't really had a chance to communicate or be with each other. And so that's, something that we have to pay attention to, which leads us to, how do we minimize this? Because we don't want to be in pain.
Right?
We did.
And we talked about how it feels to be disconnected.
So now, let's reduce this pain as much as possible.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about minimizing it, because there are things that we can do so that it doesn't come up as often. It will still come up, but if we can reduce that pain, let's do that.
Recognize it. Starting to be disconnected.
And all that is being aware. So as we build that awareness muscle, start noticing patterns of when we feel disconnected. So one of the examples that I use is, sometimes Joe comes home from work, or most often Joe comes home from work, and he'll say
a lot, I think.
He'll say, honey, I'm home. Well, if he misses one day, I might go, he missed today. And then if he misses a second day or a third day, pretty soon I'm noticing that there's a pattern and something's up. And so I can bring that to his attention. Like, I noticed that you haven't been saying, honey, I'm home. And what's that about? That way I don't go off on that, presumption pattern that we were talking about earlier.
You don't love me anymore. No.
So if I'm noticing patterns, going back to that, we're arguing, or we're kind of snapping at each other. Yeah. Those are patterns that indicate something's up. And whenever those indicators show up, then we can address them.
Talk about
which them. Leads us to one of the big ones, is asking for what we want. That is the number one way to minimize that disconnection. We raised 3 daughters, and they said that the number one piece of advice that we've ever given them is to ask our partner for what we want. They can't read our minds. That's some fairy tale thing that says, oh, if you love me, you will know what's on my mind.
No, I won't.
No, you won't. No, you won't.
I barely know what's on my mind.
So honestly, though, it's something that you get to practice over and over. Those conversations might be hard in the beginning, and over time it gets a lot easier. Yes. You're building that muscle of awareness so that they know what's going on. Going back to the previous example of me bringing Joe. Oh, we didn't even bring that one up. So tell that story.
So one day Marie was asking for some time to spend with her and figuring out when we can spend some time together. And I'm getting defensive, right? So here's a trigger that I don't have enough time because I have all these deadlines I was trying to get, but I didn't communicate that to her. So when we were talking, I'm like, so what I need is I need some time to get these deadlines completed. And so that's why I'm struggling with trying to find time to to be with you. And so what we came up with is, now that she realized what my issue was, then she was able to bring me dinner at work. And so I stopped working, and we had dinner together and spent a little time together. And then I was able to work late. And so that helps me get what I wanted and helped her get what she wanted.
I had no idea. And him communicating that to me allows me to get creative about ways that I can connect. So be sure to ask for what you want. So patterns, triggers, and asking for what you want will all help minimize that. And isn't that really what we want, is less pain?
Less pain. Stay connected.
Which leads us to our favorite topic, is how do we connect? So we thought that we would share some of our favorite ways. We have many, many more ways, but we'll give you our top 3. Our first and most favorite is writing love notes. Now, my love language is affirmations, and it's a close second for Joe on his love language. And we found that just taking a little time every once in a while, it doesn't have to be often, just to say what we appreciate.
Small little note.
Appreciate about each other. Just a little note. I happen to have like little heart sticky notes. You can put it on anything. It doesn't matter.
I like to find them in my socks when I put my socks on.
And that's the other fun part, finding creative places to put them. I'll put them in his socks. I put them in his suitcase. When he traveled a lot, I found a special sticker that I stuck on the inside of his suitcase so that he can find it. And those are all, fun ways of doing it. And then his buddies found it one day. And
so I was on a golf trip with some friends, and there it is in my suitcase, and I opened it up, and you would think a bunch of guys would go blah blah blah, but it was really cool. They enjoyed that. They thought that was pretty good. And one of the things that came out of it is we all make sure that we connect back to our wives after we're done golfing. So we make sure we call them up. Have you called your wife? To go call your wife. So supporting each other in helping connect.
That's super cool. And then sometimes I use a dry erase marker, and I'll write across the mirror. He's written some notes to me when I've come back from trips, just to say how much he appreciates me. And those were really fun to come home to. One of a couple that we know, we had made this suggestion. It was probably about 5 years ago. And he took the time in the class to write a note, and he randomly put it on the fridge. She didn't know about it. And she's having this horrible day where she thinks she's the worst mother in the world. No one could possibly be a worse mother than she is. Her whole day had gone wrong. And she looks up, and there on the fridge was this lovely note that said how awesome she was, that he appreciated the kind of mom she was, who was loving and caring and attentive to their twins. And then the tears just fall, and she's feeling happy again. It's still on the fridge.
It's still
today.
there, yes.
And it only took just a couple of minutes, and it's a lasting thing that fills her cup up, and she feels amazing. But it works both ways. He likes notes as well.
I do too.
So notes is one of our top ones. The second one is something our kids taught us, and it's called High-Low Buffalo. And it's something they do at dinner time. You can do it anytime. Dinner time works for them because they really wanted a common place that they all met together, and they got to learn about who they were and spending time together. And so they each take a certain amount of minutes, because some people can talk a really long time. And I think it was like 3 minutes. Yeah. And so the highlight of their day, the low point in their day, if they feel like sharing that, and something, Buffalo is like some random thing that they've been wanting to share with somebody all day long, and now's their time. Yeah. The rest of the group just listens. They don't offer feedback. They might smile. That could be their feedback. Yeah. They smile, or if there's something that was really tragic, they can, show concern. But our job is just to be a good audience, because people just want to be heard.
Yes.
And if after the whole family thing is over and someone really would like help on something, then that would be when the family would jump in and give some feedback. But for the most part, it's just a chance.
That's part of asking for what you want there, right? So, yep.
Most of the time, people just want to be heard. They can usually figure it out for themselves. We're just sometimes too eager to
Marie's
jump in.
Really great at that. She'll come home and say, I just want you to listen, and then I'll listen, and she can get it all out and talk to me about whatever's on her mind.
Yeah.
And it's really great because I don't have to solve the problem or anything like that. I know that my job is just to listen.
And if I need help, I will ask.
Yes.
So the first one was Love Notes, and the second one's High Low Buffalo. And our last that's our favorite is called Coffee Chats. It's similar as the kids, but for us, it's going to coffee, or it's sitting by a fire. It's taking 30 minutes to every week just to sit and be with each other. We may talk, we may not talk. We may talk about what's going on in the world. We may talk about the weather. We may talk about something really, really deep. That time is not like parted out, like we're going to talk about this, and we don't have an agenda. It's like whatever comes up for that day.
Yeah.
I may have a bajillion thoughts on my mind, which happens often, and just talk about those, or we talk about nothing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just being present with each other and connected. Yeah.
And we can talk about stuff. A friend of mine who's been married 45 years, his wife and him used to go back to her parents' house, and her parents would go on a walk, after dinner all the time. And it was annoying to Joe. And this was when they were younger. So then he wondered why. So one time him and his wife went out for a walk after dinner, and all of a sudden they were talking about the things that were important. They weren't just talking about the kids, they were talking about important things. And so now that's what they do. They go for a walk, and that's the time they get to talk about the
it's
important
kind of an unplugged moment where everything else isn't taking your attention. And so I think sometimes we just need that unplugged moment.
I agree.
There you go. It's been awesome and lovely to talk to you today. We hope that some of our tips have helped you. We have a lot more connection tips because I'm a writer. I have the Love and Romance cookbook, and it's full of all kinds of dating ideas, from really quick tips to longer dates that just kind of revitalize, bring more fun back into your life, that you can just, enjoy some more time. Because this time together is not all about the working part. No. It's about enjoying each other as well. And we have classes, and we also have a conference coming up in September. So you can find us at mariesgold.com. So it's MARIES gold.com. And feel free to send an email, marie@mariesgold.com, if you just have questions, or you want to connect, or you just want to share. Just let us know how we can be of service to you, because we really enjoy sharing what we have and being of service. So with that, may you find the gold in you, because you are a lovely, lovely person. May you find the gold in others, because that makes life a lot sweeter.
Makes it a lot easier.
And may you find the gold in every day, because, gosh, there's so many wonderful and amazing things in this world that we can appreciate. God bless.